this is the last episode of this season of Too Tall to Handle.
I'm just going to miss your entrances.
I know, right? I'm really trying to get creative here. That one was really loud and obnoxious. Sorry, guys. But yeah, this is our last episode of this season of Too Tall to Handle. We've done 11 episodes so far. Jana, can you believe that?
I can't, because I know we had this goal and like we had this vision and literally thought of it on the back of a boat.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we did it. Like our goal was to get 11, and I'm excited for us to, get to like hang out and plan over the summer. We'll be back in the fall is our plan, and it actually works out well because, I think timing with like my move and everything, it'll give us some time to get settled, like think of some new fresh stuff. I'd really love to hear from people.
Yes,
like
we would.
if you have
Speak
somebody, if you have, short king, tall queen, whoever it might be, just somebody you want to like hear from. We'd love to host them next season. I think it'd be really fun. So make sure you drop people below what you want to talk about, what you want to hear about. I think we've learned a lot in 11 episodes. I've done other podcasts, but this has been the first one that's like based on like me and someone else,
right,
and not the community at large. So it's been really fun. So yeah, we're toasting to 11 amazing episodes, and obviously toasting to our Tall Tribe and our just Tall Tribe lovers that have supported us.
Yeah, thank you guys. You've really made our podcast what it is today, and it is a dream come true.
I also think like since we're going into summer, we were thinking about talking about like summer lovin'.
Oh yes, summer lovin'. Have me up now.
And we were at a party this past weekend, and we were just kind of talking about how Daria and I like met at similar times and how our relationships have grown and things like that. I mean, because was I living with Chris and I met you? No, I was living with Chris, but you were moving in with Dan. Like,
yes.
It's just kind of funny how you see like your friends kind of like grow up with you. Is kind of fun.
Yeah, and we also want to talk about just relationships in general, like love relationships, friend relationships, relationships with your parents, your family. So this episode is going to be all about just relationships in general.
Yeah. I think, what do you feel like is like your number one must have in any relationship?
I would say honesty / transparency. It's always just easier to be honest. And, I think there's nothing more beautiful and nothing stronger than a relationship that is just completely honest with each other. And it makes it so much easier. It's like, and it feels so good when you have that strong connection, just like someone that has your back, knows always going to be honest with you, even when it's difficult. And I think that's something that I know maybe for me too, like growing up, it was always easier sometimes to maybe not tell the truth or to, you know what I mean? It's just sometimes it's just easier because you just want to pacify the situation and just like say what they want to hear. And, so that is obviously not the right way to go. And as you age and as you grow up, you learn. And, I did. And so honesty definitely is the number one all day.
I'll definitely 100% agree on honesty, because I think it's just like the basis of any relationship. But I would also say just like showing up. Like, I don't think you can show up as like 100% every day, but I do think that like showing up for the people that you care about is really important, whether that's just responding to text or whatever. Like I love my text from you. Like, you text me all the time and you'll just be like, hey, I know you have this going on today. And it makes me feel so good, because to know that somebody else.
No, you don't answer. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, and I don't. I'm the worst.
JK.
No, she's totally right. Like, I'm the worst.
I know you're
like,
busy.
I was like, okay. but that's the thing is like, there's still no excuse for me not to like take a minute to like respond to my friends, to my family. But it also makes me feel so special, because like I am going, and it's neat to like think about, hey, in somebody else's world, like I'm still existing, even though I'm not right in front of them.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'm glad you like that.
No, I do. Like I love that. Like, if I have something like going on, Daria will just be like, hey, I know you have this going on today. Like, good luck. Like, it makes me feel really special, even if I'm like, driving down the highway at 100 miles an hour, because I'm always late.
My gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's important to make your friends and anyone in your life feel that you care and that it isn't just a one-way street. Mm-hmm. Those friends that you text them all the time to hang, you're the one that reaches out. You're the one that makes the plans, and they don't reciprocate. Yeah. That doesn't feel good. And that's not really a good relationship in any form.
Yeah. I actually saw like a meme or something one time that was like, that friend that I haven't texted her, and so we haven't spoken in 3 years.
Yeah.
And I kind of tested it with like some of my friends and was just like, wait, I'm always the person that's like reaching out. And so, yeah, I haven't heard from a lot of them.
Really?
So,
I've actually never tested that out. Wow.
Yeah. Wouldn't recommend it unless you like kind of want to see it happen. But
did you ever call them out after the long period of time, or you just let that?
I didn't think there was like anything to be gained from it. Like, And it's always not like a bad thing either. Like sometimes I think you have like seasons of your life with certain people and like and that's okay. Um but you know, you definitely want to be aware and like not surround yourself with takers, which is something that
Yeah.
I think is difficult not to do. Like I don't know if men and women experience that in like different levels, but I know just I think kind of being raised Southern and stuff like that too. Like you want to be accommodating, you know, and being an athlete, like you want to put in the extra work, like da da da. You don't want anything to fail, but as a result of that, you will pick up slack wherever it
Yeah.
manifests, and people get accustomed to that, and they're like, oh, we don't have to worry about it. Jana's got it.
But then one day Jana blows up.
One day Jana loses her damn mind, and like you
Right.
have to peel her off the walls, like
Yeah.
you know. But I'm lucky. I'm lucky now that like I'm in a space where people value me. And, you know, Mike all the time will tell me like, go home and pet a puppy, like get out of here, like beat it, literally go
Oh.
home. Like, you know, but it was something that I think you have to be aware of.
Yeah, and don't take anything less. My dad always told me that people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. That sounds really simple, but that really says a lot, and it really stuck with me.
So people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Right.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so you think about like a boyfriend or something that, you know, he breaks up with you and you're devastated, but he was a reason and a season, maybe just not the lifetime, and that's okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and
really like that.
I know. And you actually, for a lot of younger listeners out there, this is something I always tell like my girlfriends if they've gone through a breakup or, you know, just they'll never be happy again and they're so sad. I don't know. In my life, I've had a lot of relationships. I'm 30 years old and I finally found my last relationship, hopefully. But when you go through that breakup and you're so sad and you're like, I'll never be happy again. You just can't imagine yourself with anybody else. And that pain is temporary. It goes away. And the way that I wish I would have viewed things like that is that, you know, you broke up for a reason. You're not meant to be with that person, and that's okay. I know it's hard to lose that best friend, and it's hard to, you know, lose the routine and that comfort of someone that you've been with, but there's always your Dan at the end of the tunnel. And now that I'm with Dan, I can't imagine being with any of those other people now, even though in the moment I was devastated, couldn't imagine life any other way. So for my younger listeners out there, like there is hope for you. And
There's a
your
lot to be
Mr.
said,
Daniel is out there.
There's a lot to be said, I think, for like time heals all wounds. Like, and I think that goes for friends too. Like I've had probably more breakups with like
Oh, and friends breakups are the worst.
They're the worst because, you know, I think especially like when I was in college, like there's this, you know, you've got like your teammates and your sorority sisters and you have all these people and like,
Are you in a sorority?
yeah, try it out, baby.
No way. So you had
Yeah.
forced friends.
I was like, I had what?
Forced
friends. So Tri Delta for me was actually, I felt like more voluntary friends than volleyball, because volleyball, like you knew you had to get along or else
Sure.
like your game was going to suffer and your team was going to suffer. And people didn't always get along, but you got along for the better of the team.
For the greater good.
Yeah, exactly. So, and my dad was actually in a fraternity too. And they've really supported me because my dad was like, you know, the fraternity house was the place where I could get away from the gym. And like, I just got to be Dave there. I wasn't Dave, the basketball player. And so they actually were
Okay.
very supportive of me being in Tri Delta. And my cousin Lee had introduced me to Tri Delta. And I mean, I saw her just have these amazing friends that they were all in each other's weddings, and like, not all of them, like, you know, you're not gonna be friends with everybody. But she had really beautiful relationships with these women. And so that was why I chose to join, because it gave me something outside of that. Now, my experience was very different because I did like a spring rush, which is like a lot more casual. We like came together, like baking cookies.
Did you not get hazed?
No.
Okay, that's good.
No, I remember I offered to like drive some of the girls home because I was an athlete. And at that time, we had a dry season. So we weren't allowed to drink by athlete rules, by team rules, which were way harsher than any Greek rule. I don't care where you went. But I was like, oh, like, if you want, I can just drive you guys home. And they were like, no, you can't drive us home. And I was like, no, I got room. I can take you. Like, I didn't want anybody drinking and driving. And they were like, no, we'll have other people take us home because we don't want you to feel like you're being hazed. I was like, well,
Oh, that's
offering.
so nice.
They were, I mean, I can't speak for all Greek life because we've all seen like horrendous things happen.
Oh yeah, I've heard that they would like circle, you know, like on a picture of a girl, like what part's fat, or like, oh, horrible.
No, I mean, I've seen like, even at NC State, there was like crazy stuff that I always like heard rumors about or was
Yeah.
told about. But I mean, literally my big just left like presents on my door
Are
every
you still
day.
friends with her today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good friends with her. Like, probably more so friends with like my great grand big and stuff like that. But mine,
There's great grandbig. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know anything about this stuff. That sounds So fun.
I'll draw you a family tree for next season.
Yeah. A Delta Kappa.
Yeah,
Family tree.
Delta. But when I saw like formal rush, wow, I had never seen anything like it. Like all the dress code and the this and the that and the songs, and I was like, this is weird. Like I did think that was kind of wacky. Like,
Did that teach you how to? 'Cause I can't imagine it being difficult, to get along with. I don't know how many girls were in your sorority, but to get along with that many different personalities and like women in general. Because I've never been that girl that has a huge girlfriend group. Like no one invites me to get like friendship tattoos or you know what I mean. Like I don't know. That just has never been like my. Thank you. But yeah, like if I had like a bachelorette party, I wouldn't have like 18,000 girls like all wearing the same color. Like that hasn't been my experience in life, so I can't imagine sorority life. I don't know, working out for me. So it's like, how did that go for you? Like, was it easy for you to?
It was really
assimilate
easy
with all those women and all the different.
It was really easy for me, but I think it's because the family that I was in, like who picked me as like their little, she was a volleyball player. She was a club volleyball player. I had actually played against her like in another league. Her big was a fitness instructor and her big. So my great grand big was also a fitness instructor.
Sorry, I like can't take that seriously. So,
but I mean, it's cool. And like, we're not like, super tight to this day, but it's still nice. That's one thing I do love about social media. Like for a lot of reasons, social media blows. I get it. But I love seeing like my college roommates and my sorority sisters like grow up and have these families and these great careers. And like one of my, the secretary works at like Nike now. And I remember her doing her senior collection and, her like having scraps all over the living room floor trying to figure out how to make, all this fabric into a dress. Like it's cool to like remember stuff like that. So
I'm glad you brought up social media because in terms of relationships, it's actually one of the ways that I can keep in touch. The only reason why I keep Facebook, honestly, is just to stay in touch with my relatives and my family and people that I can't see every day. Social media, it does have its downfalls, but one of the huge upsides too is that you can stay in touch with like all the people that you don't get to have in your everyday life. And I think that's really important.
I love that, especially like a lot of my teammates overseas and stuff like that.
You see pictures of their baby. You
I
see
love it.
I feel like today.
I feel like I haven't missed a beat, and I really value that. Like, especially I know we celebrate like families and stuff like that a lot, but I really love seeing my friends like accomplish things in their careers too. Because
you're a girl's girl, you support women.
Yeah, I like. I'll take that back. I will support nice women. If I think you're a meanie, like you can go fly a kite. You have no support from me. Like
go fly a kite, you meanie.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you're a jerk, like you can go somewhere else. I will not support you.
Scratch.
I'm just like, no, but because I think it's important. I'm
empowered women empower women.
Yeah. I saw something that was like when they were talking about like voting rights for women and stuff like that. But it was like a very old, like an old sign. And it was a guy holding this sign. It said, intelligent men are not threatened by intelligent and independent women. And this was like a black and white photo from like back in the day. And I was like, good for you, sir. But he probably got like chastised by everyone
he
else,
was way ahead of his time.
Way ahead of his time.
Oh, it's so wild that we couldn't vote, 50 years ago?
I know.
I don't remember the women's suffrage I should know. Obviously I'm not great at history, even though.
Well, I mean, I even think how it's interesting how I think about like Mary Poppins, like where she was literally singing like this like votes for women song. Did you have?
I never saw Mary Poppins actually.
Yeah, they actually talk about like votes for women, and they have like the she was a suffragette, which was the women who were demonstrating and like chaining themselves to buildings and stuff like that. Like it's pretty powerful. Like if you look at the imagery, they're in these like they're in like corsets and these floor-length dresses and giant hats and stuff like that. And they would make the women give them their hat pins because women would try to attack people when they were in court and they were being arrested with their hat pins. So they would make them take out their hat pins.
Was that a huge theme in Mary Poppins that I just have never heard of?
I wouldn't say it's a huge theme, but she does come back in like two different scenes with her. She has like a whole song that's like, though we adore men individually.
Oh, cool.
It's like, we can all agree that they're rather stupid. But the whole song is like votes for women.
God.
Yeah. But she's like, oh, hide these ribbons because George hates the cause. And that was what they call it, like the cause. Yeah.
That
so it was like
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. That wasn't that long ago either.
So circling back to relationships,
yes.
Like, wouldn't you want a man who supported your right to vote?
Yeah. Or like thinking back, if we were in those ages now, it's funny. Like I wish I could know like what my views would be and like people around me, like if they would be like, you can't vote, you're a woman. Like if people would have identified with the culture back then, or would they have the wherewithal to be like, no, women deserve to vote? I never actually gave that much thought. I'm going to do some Googling when I get home, but like, was there a huge pushback
There was
from men,
an
like
immense,
not allowing women to vote?
Oh yeah. Women were arrested over it. Like many
Yeah,
of
I guess
them
there
and
was.
beaten. And I mean, it was terrible. Like it was and that was just women. And then it obviously is like, people of color and things like that. Like all these people had to go through just so much turmoil to have a right to say what was going on in the
Yeah.
country where they were paying taxes and living.
Yeah, and then fast forward to today, and women's reproductive rights are at stake. It's mind blowing.
I know.
This isn't a political podcast. I don't want to get too much into it, and we are supposed to talk about relationships, but yeah, that's really scary stuff. And
Yeah, it's terrifying. And I think, keeping on the relationship theme is that it's important to, I would say, have people with different views than you, but
totally.
people that are going to be open to having like intelligent conversations. Like I know we can all think about like friends that we have, and it's almost like you don't even want to like see them at an event because they're just going to like start thumping on like
Yeah.
whatever the topic is of the time, and that's going to like suck all the air out of the room. And like there's a time and place for all of these discussions, but I think it's so important to surround yourself with people who are going to respect your opinions, because that's what they are at the end of the day. Like,
Sure.
and if you don't, you're not going to align with everybody on
No.
everything, very rarely. I mean, I feel like you and I are very blessed that we align on everything that we've ever covered, but it's not the case with everybody. But I think the key to a relationship is that respect factor, is the fact that even if you don't align, it's like, hey, maybe this just isn't a good topic for us, for
Yeah.
our friendship. Like, and we can talk, we can talk about so many other things, but it's like having that respect that's just like, we don't see eye to eye on this, but this is a person that I love in my life.
Right. And even if we don't see eye to eye, like you're entitled to your opinion, I am entitled to mine. And I will fight for you to have the freedom and, the right to have your opinion, but do the same for me.
100%.
That's kind of how I view like the abortion thing. I know this is a hot topic, but if you don't want one, don't get one. But, don't infringe your rights or your beliefs on me. I think it should be as simple as that. If you don't believe in something or don't want something, then don't engage. Don't do it. But don't take that ability away from somebody else.
Well, like gay marriage. Like
what
why are we even involved?
I don't know.
Why is that even, and I grew up and not even realizing, because I'm so blessed because my parents were so open and we had just such a very colorful household. Like there were just all walks of life of people in there. And so I didn't even know that some people still had such a problem with people of other races. I didn't even realize.
Wonderful that you didn't have any, exposure to that.
Which it was great, but at the same time, it made me like a little more ignorant because I couldn't comprehend, and that like I was like, well, why would anybody have a problem with someone having two dads or two moms? I was like, I don't get it. And my parents were like, unfortunately, just not everyone agrees. I was like, but it's none of their business. And they were like, correct.
Right. Or you know what?
Correct.
They could disagree. They have every right to disagree, but they don't have the right to make it a law where other people can't do it.
Because it's none of your damn business.
That's what we're missing here, because I really doubt that anyone else's gay marriage would ever affect someone else's life in a negative way. I just don't really see a lot of instances where that would happen.
Nope. Like, I think that everybody has the right to just like live the fullest.
Just let Adam and Steve live, guys.
Just, but I mean, we have so much other stuff going on. Like like that
seems frivolous.
That are real problems. Like get out of other people's business. Get out of other people's business. Like, you know what? Matters of state should be matters of state. Yeah. Y'all got enough to do.
Yeah. And it really breaks my heart. And it makes me really sad how things like this have ruined relationships and like torn apart families and have, polarized everybody against each other. And I've seen it in my own family, kind of, that these kind of political views and differences really can, ruin a relationship. And it's really sad. And we can't let this happen. We can't let hate and evil win.
No,
ever.
I mean, because
love will always prevail.
Yeah, because that's what it is at the end of the day. And I think when we talk about, this is a Too Tall Hannah podcast, so we talk about, like love.
Talk about the tall topics.
Yeah, well, I mean, but we talk about like love for yourself and who you are and kind of like the body that you were born in, and or the body that you create for yourself or the person that you create for yourself. And I think you have every right to make the most of the life that you want to live.
You have one of them.
You have one of them, and as long as it's not hurting or harming anyone in any other way, why does it freaking matter?
I'll never know.
Like, there's so much love to give to so many people. And I think that's just all we need to worry about And when we get caught up in all this other stuff, like I think it's just meant to be like a distraction from things that are really happening.
Yeah. It's so sad.
So hopefully we can always make this like a fun and happy place. Like even if we like get deep on some stuff, I think it's important to have that too.
Sure. Absolutely. And we want, to be an open and honest podcast, and we don't want any stone unturned.
Yeah.
But coming back to relationships, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So Chris is obviously your boyfriend.
Yeah.
We've talked about him a couple times on this podcast. Who,
Hey, babe.
Who is, or I guess which relationship in your life has been the most influential, or who has like made you who you are today? Was it your mom, your dad? I guess maybe that's an unfair question because everyone's family, I guess, molds them into who they are one way or another.
I think that it's a really tough question because I've learned so much from my dad and from my mom, but I would also have to bring up my grandmother because like when I think of a badass, like I think of Peggy Angel. I mean,
is that your dad's mom or your mom's mom?
my dad's mom. I mean, there's been seasons of my life where maybe people weren't accepting of me or who I was at that time or the choices I was making. And she just provided this space of just like no questions asked, just a roof over your head and just two open arms were like her only things. And she did that with multiple other cousins of mine and different phases of their lives. And, people weren't even related to us. Like, you want to talk about somebody who just provides very unconditional and unquestioning love. Like that's who that is. And it's a person who did go through multiple generations of kind of like what was socially acceptable. And what I've noticed about like my mom and my grandmother is like, again, they might not have felt the same way because of their religious belief systems, but they have developed certain opinions that have evolved over time.
That's incredible for someone to actually evolve. If they say like the tiger never changes their stripes, or like I'm an old man, like I don't have to change, like I'm me. That's amazing to hear. Actually, that makes me happy that there are people out there who can, they grew up one way and and it was deemed, all right, but now it isn't, and you have to kind of grow and evolve. And
yeah. And I think that's special, especially like you said, when you're raised one way and something's just hammered into you, like it is just kind of an automatic. It's not necessarily an opinion you formulated yourself. And then you learn kind of to develop this critical thinking. And I think that's like when you really start to grow into a really special person, is like when you just learn to take all the things around you, but just really sit with your own thoughts and formulate your own opinion, like, which isn't always fun. Like I hate sitting with my thoughts. I always like having something playing in the background or whatever, because my thoughts like just get away from me. But yeah, I've had a lot of really influential relationships in my life. But I think I think the relationships I have with my family are just incredibly special. But my relationship with Chris is something really special too, because it reflects something that my cousin Lee, who is another special relationship to me. I didn't have an older sister, so she was like the one who taught me all the things in the streets.
Like, wouldn't it be nice to know what it would be like to have an older sister?
Yeah.
Because we took the brunt of having the older sister
You're welcome.
Yeah. You're welcome, Anna, Kelly, and Molly.
Like Alexander Savannah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But yeah, she kind of taught me all the ropes of everything. But one time I asked her like how she knew she was happy with her husband, who I was horrible to. Dan, I'm sorry. Mainly because I just didn't want anyone marrying my sister and marrying my cousin and moving her away. I was a wretched little person. I'm sorry. Like flat out was like,
did you like parent trap him?
Oh, I told him to his face. I was like, I don't like you and I hope you guys break up. I was horrible.
Yeah, no.
I was so horrible, Dan. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, stop it.
I was horrible. I'm so sorry, Dan. And he's wonderful and he's an amazing dad to all my little godsons. He's so special. But anyways, after we got past that, I was like, well, how do you know that like you're happy in your marriage? Like how, like what is it,
Question.
And she was like, even in the tough times, I know that I am stronger with Dan than I am away from him.
Aww.
And I was always like, so anytime I like question any like part of my relationships or whatever, I'm like, am I a stronger person with this person in my life or without that person in my life? And Chris definitely makes me a stronger person. Like he's not going to be like a chitty chatty like person. But
he's man a few words, but what he says has meaning.
Exactly. Like
not a lot of filler words,
So I know if he tells me I did a good job, like he really means it.
Oh, yeah, it's really sweet. It's important to have in a relationship.
Yeah. How about you? What was your most influential relationship?
This is a really cheesy answer, but like a relationship with myself. That's
Ooh, that's
so
a good one.
important. Yeah. It's so important to have a good relationship with yourself because at the end of the day, you're the one who's stuck in your own head, your own body. And, the relationship with myself has been an ongoing process and it will always be, for the rest of my life. But you have to really like love yourself before anyone can love you. And that's so cliche, but it is really true.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're not confident, if you're unhappy, if you're, always just wishing the grass was greener, then that's going to affect the person that you're with or people that are around you. And maybe every relationship in your life, if you have no self-worth, if you, are always just looking for something else, I think that would be really detrimental, especially to like a romantic relationship.
Yep.
So that's something that I've made sure that, I'm solid, I'm good with myself. I think that is what allowed me to have a relationship like the one that I have currently. Because now like I'm not a fully formed human, but I think I'm at the point where I feel like I've evolved into like the woman that like I needed to be to kind of move forward in the positive direction.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually really glad you said that because I think I am coming up on that phase. I think I've been more so focused on like work and creating
you've
success and like
focused so much on work. Like
and I'm like,
that has been your whole life.
But it's like, and I thought in that I was going to find, I don't know if it was like love or significance or whatever it is, but I was looking for my place in the world. And I think, and it was something that Chris actually like called me out on. He was like, I wish you weren't just always like looking for the next thing. He's like, cause it takes you away from things. Cause I was always like saying yes to everything. Cause I didn't want us to lose out on a gig. Like, what if this is it? What if this is it? Like, he's like, your whole career is it. And I thought that was so profound because he was like, I was just like,
damn, Chris.
I was like, because I was like, I haven't made it. I'm like, I'm nobody. And he was just like, he's like, that's just stupid. And I was like, all like my feelings were like all hurt. I was like, what do you mean? And and it's just I want to kind of like switch that gear and be more focused on, really focusing in on like the job that I'm given. What I'm going to do. Like I think especially going into like a new team, it'll help me like reset. But and focusing a lot more on like serving others as opposed to getting myself to whatever the next level of like Jana is, I think is something I really want to focus on.
Oh, it's so good. Well, I think you'll do great at that.
I'll check back in the fall.
Yeah, check back in the fall, guys. Oh, that like touches my heart. And it's going to be like so weird to not have you around. But I'm going to come visit you in St. Augustine. And guys, we're going to be back in the fall. So don't worry, Jana's only moving, but she's not going anywhere.
No, I'm like, we're going a couple hours away. It's all right.
And then also with the relationships, guys, we appreciate the relationship we have with you, our viewers and our listeners. You are the reason why we do this. And we really appreciate and love all your support. And I think that is it for this episode, guys.
I think that's a wrap.
Oh, Jana, cheers to that. Cheers to
friend.
Too Tall to Handle. Cheers to you guys, our tall tribe. Well, vibe all summer. We'll miss you, and then we'll see you in the fall. Hags, Lilas, have a good summer. Write that in our yearbook, and sayonara.
Love you guys. We'll see you next time.